The 13th child. It was the 13th child of an angry, exhausted, frustrated woman. Her temperament was understandable. Few people could bear to carry, birth, and raise that many children. Cursed the moment its existence was known, long before it was even born. Maybe that's why it was so bitter, so angry. Denied its mother's love before it had even tasted fresh air, looked its family in the face, or heard the sacred words that would become its name. No, it was branded a devil, shunned and shamed before it even had a chance at life. Mother Leeds, she was a witch, and the child being born different is no coincidence, as its father was Satan himself, or so the womenfolk gossip. There are a few accounts about the birth of the creature. Some say it was born a normal babe, held tenderly in the arms of the midwife until its mother spoke, cursing it again. That's when it began to grow and twist, shaping into the abomination we know. Others recount how the creature tore its way out of Mother Leeds' womb, but she didn't die, saved by the devil's magic. A payment for carrying his child to term. One tale says it came out kicking and screaming as it was. Small at first, almost as tender and mild as any other newborn. But it was gruesome and twisted, a mockery of God's creation, and then it began to grow. My God, did it grow, rapidly and violently, until it stood taller than anyone else on its cloven hooves? It foamed at the mouth of its goat head, and thrashed its tail around the room. It stretched its vile wings and fled through the chimney, a blood-chilling screech emanating from its horrid maw. No matter which version you hear, every story holds a few things true. It was the 13th child, it was cursed while still in its mother's womb. The Leeds family were outcasts, even among the Quakers, and a storm unlike any other was raging the night of the birth. Needless to say, no one went near the Leeds' house any more after that. Mother Leeds stopped having kids, which was probably much to her relief, and life went on as normal. Daniel Leeds unintentionally separated his family from the Quakers through his business of almanac writing and publishing. Quakers didn't take kindly to astrology, and when one of their own seemed to adopt such a devilish thing, they ostracized him. They burned and censored his books. In response, he wrote and published more and more of the blasphemous things. Regrettably, this sent him down a strange path of occultism and paganry. Daniel's loyalty to the crown seemed stronger than the bonds of his faith, eventually writing against the Quakers of Jersey. His crest was of a wyvern, something that devil seems to imitate, though still in mockery. Perhaps the obsession with the occult is what made the devil come to be further down the Leeds line. Whatever the case, the devil lived unchecked in the depths of the Pine Barrens. Sightings began soon after the creature was born. A commander ordered a cannonball to be fired upon it as the thing flew overhead. A direct hit did nothing. It started with livestock, killing cows and stealing chickens. After a while, the devil became too much of a nuisance, and a bounty was placed on its head. The Pine Barrens are just that, pine trees as far as the eyes can see, though few animals could be spotted at any given time. People went into the woods, but some made it back out. All the survivors share a similar story. Its screech froze them in place, and sent a chill down their spine. The flapping of its wings created a strong wind which nearly blew them down. Its head was that of a goat, complete with large, curved horns. Its cloven hooves tore the ground as the beast charged towards them, its eyes glowing red. With another screech, it would either carry them away in its mouth, or knock them down, swinging at and bashing survivors with its hooves. Guns did nothing, and its strength was almost impossible to defend against. Eventually, nobody would venture into the deepest parts of the Pine Barrens, save for a few fools. Still, something had to be done. This was a devil, and only God could drive it out. That's why the Vatican sent him. Father Torello. The Church claimed that inquisitors were a thing of the past. That was true, at least as we knew them. Father Torello was a new type. He dealt with the occult, unholy, and blasphemous things that threaten the safety of religious people. He didn't seem to care if the Quakers welcomed him or not. There were Christians in New Jersey as well, and that is who he was protecting. He gathered as much info as he could, and set off into the pines, armed with religious weaponry and the protection of God. He would return at the end of the day, resting at the inn. Some days, he would show up bearing cuts, scratches, and even a bite mark on one occasion. Still, he went into the woods each morning. One night, 2 screams were heard. One was a man's, and one was clearly not. They mixed for a moment, and then the night was silent. He did not return that day, and nobody expected him to return again. A day or 2 later, a hunter found him strung up between 2 large trees, tied to the trunks by hand and foot with his intestines. His weaponry lay shattered beneath him, his Bible torn to shreds and stomped on by the hooves of a goat. Perhaps the devil's father came to his aid. We will never know. It began to get more and more bold, even attacking people in town at night. People still hear the screams, and it makes them shiver in terror. We don't enter the heart of the Pine Barrens anymore, and we hardly see it nowadays. Though every so often, someone reports the rapping of hooves on their roof, the sound of leathery wings flapping or being rushed by a goat-headed, cloven-hooved, bat-winged monster that bore into their soul with its glowing red eyes. We leave the Leeds devil alone, and we pray to God that it returns the favor. Signed, Augustus Leeds, eldest son of Deborah and Jaffe Leeds.